Snap my fingers.
Gan McBexon is celebrating 300 with us, and Barbara's still talking about urine.
All right. Well, that's a good way to end this. That's a good way. That's a good way to end this one.
Yeah, no kidding.
300 and finally talked about the ceramics with pee in it.
All right, welcome to another day of surveying in No Man's Sky. I'm Tristan, and my co-pilot here is Mike. And we are once again looking for signs of player activity within the video game No Man's Sky. So we are surveying systems and planets looking for player bases. And so right now we're just getting a little situated on fuel, and we'll be ready to go in just a moment.
I'm coming to you right now.
Coming back to, okay.
Yeah, there's a ship blocking my way, and I had to communicate with him to see what his problem was.
Communicate with your lasers?
No, I actually used my communicator. It said I could check his manifest, or I could just leave, and so I just left. I got work to do.
Right. Strikes me as kind of the classic looking for a watch guy or something.
Oh yeah, probably. It's usually what it is in this game. All right, and then I need to bring up our survey. Here we go.
Yep, our survey data.
Wow, how impressive.
Yep, we are right now sitting at 267 systems surveyed.
Or sad. I'm not sure which.
Or what?
Which one? Or sad.
Survey.
Sad.
Okay.
Because we haven't found any bases.
Oh,
yet.
we are
It's
sad.
always...
Although, like we like to say, negative data is still data, even though it still makes us sad.
That's what you say, at least. Well, let me see here. I think I don't know if I definitely have more fuel than I normally have. But the question is, do I have enough to
How much have you
do
got?
my job? Let me see.
Where'd you go?
4 hyperdrive. I have 4 cells.
Probably
now
not
3.
enough.
Which is a few more than I had about 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
Which is not.
I'll give you credit for that. You're out of teleporter range.
Oh, where are you at? Oh, there you are. Sorry, something's wrong with my joystick. Oh, wow, look at that. Free stuff. Thanks.
There you go.
Oh, whoa.
That should last you a couple sessions.
I don't know. Maybe. Depends on what this update did to this game. So let's see here. We're not done with...
I don't believe so. I haven't checked yet. But
no, we haven't started. Okay. Well, we did a good amount. Nag 3. That's where we're at, I guess.
I think we just got started.
Did we?
Maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, I found at least one. I think.
All right. Well, see if I can remember how to do this after a week of off time. Those hurricanes will do that to you.
Yep, for those who aren't aware, Pensacola was hit by a hurricane last week, and so we had to cancel because damage happened. It was an unexpected one.
Yeah, man, nobody saw that coming except the weather people, I
Well,
guess.
like Mississippi saw it coming, but then it
Yeah,
didn't happen there.
Mississippi, Louisiana,
Yeah,
Alabama. I guess it kind of did happen a little bit in Alabama, although I'm not
I'm sure they
sure.
got a little
They,
bit.
yeah, I know Mobile got definitely some down trees and stuff I saw, but of course the bad side is on the northeastern quadrant of the hurricane. That's the area
Hmm.
that you don't want to be in. So we were in the side that you typically do not want to be in, and we usually as you're watching a hurricane come at you, you're kind of, and it just sounds terrible, but everybody does it. You're kind of hoping, go east or go west.
Yeah.
You don't. It's gonna hit somewhere. You just don't want it to be you, and it's always bad when it hits. It sucks. But what sucks more than it hitting is when it hits you. then it's really terrible.
Right.
But it's this is the first time. Usually it's like I always say it's like every 10 years that they hit, and this has been if you don't include Hurricane Michael, which was 2 years ago, which hit east of us, or east of where I'm at.
Yeah, it didn't get you
50
guys
years.
hardly at all, right?
No, it hit it. Yeah, it was a little windy, but that was about it.
I think
No,
we
hit
had more of
Panama.
it in Tallahassee than you did.
Yeah, it hit. Yeah, again, you're like on that eastern side of it, so yeah, it really didn't affect us too badly at all.
It wasn't
But,
too awful for us either. It was mostly the middle of the panhandle that got hit really bad.
yeah, it was pretty terrible there. Whole forests were just laying on the ground. It was insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, other
still
than
is really there's still people with tarps on roofs in that area 2 years later.
yeah. Well, what's crazy about this one is if you don't include Michael, the last time that we've got a direct hit here was 16 years ago, and that was Hurricane Ivan, which I was actually here for that. And it literally, the Hurricane Sally, the one that just hit us last week, hit on the exact same day that Ivan did 16 years before. Yeah, you believe
Twilight
that?
Zone level stuff there.
Yeah, it was a busy hurricane season. Global warming.
Tis a thing.
Yep, they told us. Scientists told us this would be the case. I saw this thing that said it was like a presentation. I'm not sure who gave it or what organization it was affiliated with, but I saw the title, and it said it was something like hurricanes, the new Gulf something with like talking about hurricanes and how they were new, like this is going to be the new thing for the Gulf Coast. And I was thinking, what planet do you live on where you think this is new?
Maybe they mean more regular?
I think that's what they meant. It was just a poor title.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's like,
not a good choice of words or useful.
yeah, the new normal would have been that would have been a much better title. But
Yeah.
it was, I don't think it was a new normal, because if I would have seen the new normal, I would have agreed and said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But nope, it's not the first time a hurricane's hit at this area. And we know because of history and archaeology. Speaking of hurricanes, of course, there's probably the earliest one we have documented from from European sources anyway, is for our area, specifically our area of Pensacola, 1559, when the hurricane struck Pensacola. And we've talked about this before, and saying the Spanish attempt to colonize Pensacola back then. But of course, hurricanes, we know, definitely hit before then, and
Sure.
Native Americans, indigenous people dealt with them. But what's interesting is they've done archaeology where they've actually seen remnants of hurricane activity. Like, I know in downtown Pensacola, they found basically the remains of pretty much the storm surge that came in when Pensacola was occupied by the British in the 1760s, and it destroyed some of the fort there. But they actually found some layers that were of that particular moment in time when a hurricane struck. And driving up and down this area and through Pensacola, as people clear their yards, and some people lost their homes of like debris and stack all this stuff up. It's interesting to think about what archaeologically that will look like in the future.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely.
I guess it will just go to a landfill, but it might be like a very specific day. There was a ton of trash from this one particular day. You know what I mean? Where that was that was out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
Is what I would
that's
think.
Pensacola has a lot of. Well, I guess all of Florida has a lot of archaeological history of hurricanes and things. In fact, I know someone who just did a museum exhibit on it.
That's true. This sounds like a smart person.
Knew what was up, I think.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, so you're referencing the first settlement attempt in Pensacola, where they tried to settle the area. Spanish settlers did, and then they got hit by a hurricane, sinking the ships with all the supplies on it, and basically marooning the settlement for a couple years before they gave up. But actually, eventually, the Spanish came back, and kind of because they were still worried about hurricane, or not hurricane, but attack. They actually initially built their settlement out on Santa Rosa Island, which is a barrier island to Pensacola Bay. And basically, it's the island that changes every time there's a hurricane that hits. And so they pretty much, they would live out there and build their community, and then a hurricane would come and they go take shelter on the mainland and come back and rebuild everything. And this was going on every few years until they finally convinced the Spanish crown to let them build on the mainland. And so I know there's some archaeology left out there, though I don't know how much is left of that original settlement, archaeologically speaking. Because, like I said,
they did a bunch of work back in early 2000s or early aughts, I guess, is what we call them.
okay,
And yeah, they found, I forget the number, but it was like a ridiculous number, like over 100,000 artifacts, something like that, that were still from that particular what they call a presidio is what they call it. But basically, it was like a fort and a church and a village all in one. Is basically, and it was mainly like I think it was mainly like prison labor was sent there. Although definitely there were soldiers and their families too. But yeah, they found quite a bit from the settlement. And
so this was
I
the
believe,
actual settlement then, not the what would you call it, the theme park?
yeah, no, this is the actual settlement because they found the they've so for a little bit of context in the 1950s, the state of Florida was going to celebrate what was at the time going to be their 400th anniversary of European colonization of Florida. Essentially, is what it was. And they were going to originally they were going to start it in in the 1964-65 because they were thinking St. Augustine, but then promotional boosters in Pensacola were like, hey, wait a minute, we were here before St. Augustine, and of course we keep fighting about that today.
Yeah.
So they said okay, well, we'll start it in 1559 and then we'll go all the way to 1965 and go around the whole state, and it will build like heritage tourism, build up the economy, people will make money, that sort of thing. And so, as part of that 1959 celebration, to do something special in Pensacola, they out on Santa Rosa Island, they said, "Oh, well, that's where Luna settled at," which wasn't true. That's not where he was at. But I guess they didn't know that exactly at the time. And so they decided but they also knew that there was that presidio out there in 1720s through the 1750s. So they did one of the guys who was in charge of that, a guy named John Appleyard, who's actually still alive. He's well into his 90s now, but anyways, he went to Jamestown because in Jamestown they had like a reconstructed village of the colony there, like a living history kind of village there. So he went there to kind of scope it out and see if they could basically essentially rip it off is what they did. So anyways, so he went there and he's like, oh yeah, we could do something like this in Pensacola. So he came back to Pensacola and they ended up building this reconstruction of um, the Santa Rosa Presidio. Isla de Santa Rosa was its name, and so they built this full scale reconstruction of what they thought the village looked like, and they had costumed,
Mostly fictional.
Oh yeah,
but-
it was what would you pit? It was what you would expect from the 50s. I mean, very much like very whitewashed and like totally inaccurate, and of course like
I remember a photo of some white people in Plains Indian garb, for example.
oh yeah, oh yeah, it was
no.
terrible. Yeah,
Yeah, but
it
it's
was,
what you'd
and
expect for the time.
It is, yeah, but also, I mean, segregation was at the time too. So
Right.
that, I mean, that was very much part of it too. Was there was that kind of, ideological, kind of white supremacy going on, and that's kind of what they were promoting, and they weren't shy about. They were saying this is promoting white European culture, even though we know the Presidio was incredibly diverse. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what's ironic. But anyways, so that 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 continued through the what was called the quadricentennial, this 400th anniversary, and eventually, after about 10 years, it essentially kind of failed, and it was sort of left in disrepair, and eventually it was destroyed by a hurricane. So that actually was destroyed by a hurricane, and it is technically speaking, and not even technically speaking, it is historic, even though it was like a fictional reconstruction, because it's so old, it is now historic and archaeological in itself. So, and those remains are there, but that was destroyed by a hurricane. But the Presidio, they found the real location of the Presidio about 5 years after they built the fake one, and then so they excavated it then in the late or the mid 60s, I think in like 1964, and then early 2000s is when University of West Florida excavated it again, and that's when they found that we're talking about the real Presidio, the actual site. So, anyways,
Yeah. And to
Interesting
be
little-
clear too, it's archaeologically significant not only because it's 50 years or older, but because it's a cultural construct. It is a representation or how that group represented their culture and why, even if it's things we kind of flinch at or cringe at today, it's still relevant for understanding the past.
Yeah, and it was one of the very first, at least in Northwest Florida. It was one of the first attempts to kind of capitalize on heritage, what we call today heritage tourism. So that makes it significant too, because in fact today heritage tourism is a really vitally important part of Florida's tourism economy and just economy in general. And that kind of, at least for our area, kind of put us on the map for that.
At least for a while until it got wiped off the map.
yeah, yeah, definitely not to what they kind of thought it would.
No.
All right, so, did you? Are you still here? Or did you
I'm
jump?
still here. I've got
Okay.
at least one more. But we're getting close on this one.
I'm seeing if you. Oh, I don't have that kind of drive. I can't go there. But yeah, hurricanes. No fun. Yeah,
No.
you read about them and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then you go through one and it's not the funnest thing in the world.
No.
I guess the worst part is really. I will say with this one though, compared to Ivan, it's incredible how fast they got the power back on. And
Yeah.
Granted, Ivan was a lot stronger. It was, I think, a Category 3 when it hit. Sally was a Category 2, but it was close to a 3, actually. I mean, if you look at the scale, it was maybe 5 miles an hour from being a Category 3. But, and it was just the longest lasting storm I've ever been through. I mean, I've been through a few of them here in the along the Gulf Coast, and I've been through a couple typhoons out in Okinawa when I lived out there as a kid. and usually they blow through, and it sucks, and that certainly the aftermath is no fun. But this was definitely the longest lasting one I've been through. It moves so slowly.
Really slowed
It
down,
was
yeah.
it was going like 1 to 2 miles an hour.
Wow.
So it was crazy because you know I can't sleep through hurricanes, so I didn't sleep the whole night because you're just like you're on edge. It's like, oh my, is my roof gonna, you're hearing weird sounds. So you're like, is that
Well,
my
and
roof coming up?
you live out on an island, right?
No, no, no. I live close to a bay.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that storm surge element too
Right.
that we do get. It's not as bad as being. Yeah, I would. I mean, I can understand why people live on a barrier island. It's pretty, but I would not want a house on there because I've seen these houses that they thought that they could build to withstand these huge storms, and then you go there and it's like, yeah, it's still part of it's still on those stilts, but everything in that place is gone.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I would not personally want to live on a barrier island because that's what takes the brunt of the storm. Like all that energy, the first piece of land it hits if you have a barrier island is the barrier island itself. So,
Part of the reason it's
yeah,
called a barrier island.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So no, I live on the mainland, but not far from the coast. I mean, I live on the coast, but not far. I live maybe a 5 minute drive from the beach, but we're on a little bit further north. But we're the one of the bays is only a few hundred yards from my house. So, and the tide for that will actually rise, and you will get some storage surge from that as well, as the storm comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, it comes through pretty fast. But this one, man, it was so slow. And I remember when it started to hit. It didn't make landfall until um, like the morning. But the night before, I mean, I was watching the Weather Channel guy say like, "Oh yeah, it's in about 12 hours it's gonna make landfall," and I was thinking, "What the hell are you talking about? Have you stuck your head outside? Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's going on right now." Because I guess they count landfall when the eye of the storm hits land, but
Mm-hmm.
at that point, if it's a giant storm, then the whole like northeastern portion of it has already been hitting land for a number of hours, and in this case, it was like 12 hours before it hit, but it didn't technically make landfall until about 12 hours after we were already getting hurricane force winds.
Yeah, that's a long time to sit around. When did you lose power? Oh, you didn't lose
We
power.
we didn't lose power. We lost internet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which
we
is
were
almost as
most
bad.
people. Pretty much, especially like when you're doing remote stuff.
Yeah, which for the record is why we couldn't do this last week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we had a good reason. That
Yeah,
was
we
a
tried
justifiable.
using his phone. It wasn't gonna work.
No, it wasn't. You wouldn't have liked that at all. But yeah, no, we actually never lost power, but a lot of people did. So we were extremely lucky. Some people actually didn't get power back until like a day or two ago. And some people are still without power because even though the power came back, if they had a few feet of water in their house, the power company is not going to turn the power back on to their house until they get an electrician to like okay it.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's the worst part. So I think about these people who live like with Luna's colony in 1559 or all the other times during the colonial time period or even before then with the indigenous people who lived here a long, long time before any of the, you know, any of this the Spanish colonization took place, and what that effort must have been like to have to clean that up. Must
They
have,
were
I
basically rebuilding their colony every
pretty
single
much.
time.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. And if it's hitting like every 10, 15 years, then that's pretty much what we get here. It's like every 10 or 15 years we'll get a direct hit. Because you look at, you know, I was here since the early 90s, and then I think it was in 92 or 93 we had Hurricane Opal. And then the next one was a little more than 10 years later, it was Ivan. And then Michael, of course, was 2018, so that's almost a little bit more than do my math here. It's like 12, 14 years,
Hmm.
although that wasn't a direct hit. So this one was technically 16 years between Ivan and this one. So, but yeah, every 10 to 15, 16 years, we get a direct hit. So it's just you kind of just learn to live with it. And what's interesting too is most of Florida's population actually lives just within a few miles of the coast. So
Well, that's basically Florida.
yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
much. I
you
mean,
go a few miles inland and you're in a different state. Sometimes, anyway.
yeah, pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
We're about as
yeah,
far as you
definitely.
get, and we're only about 25 miles from the coast.
Right. Yeah, not far.
If it's that far, even.
Yeah. I see your writing. See if you came to this system. Doesn't look like you did. No, I think I'll go to this one. Plus,
think
it
we're
only
getting
has.
close.
Yeah. Plus, this one only has two planets. So I
Everything
like
I've
that.
had has had 6 or so this time, which I wonder if it's the update that's caused that.
Oh. Yeah. So you've mentioned a little bit about the update before we started talking. What have you? I mean, before we started recording, what have you heard of? What can you tell us about this update?
From what I
If anything.
understand, they made some major changes to the whole galaxy. Essentially, they added a bunch of new biomes and new ways planets are constructed, and alien life, more extreme and exotic alien life, and that kind of thing. And I was a little concerned because in the past, when they've done these major updates like this, they've actually ended up effectively destroying all the player bases, which is actually has some parallels to a natural disaster like a hurricane. Because there's actually cases where player communities in No Man's Sky have had to uproot and relocate elsewhere when a patch hit. So I was a little concerned about that, but a friend told me, and he may or may not be in the chat right now, but told me that they didn't actually change any existing planets. They've only added planets, which is good, but it also means that we are now more likely to slow us down a little bit because we'll have more planets we have to scan. So, but that's okay. We're not exactly on a time crunch, so we can handle that.
I wonder if they reduced the number of pirate attacks.
I've had one so far, so.
Yeah, I'm getting one right now.
I just ran away.
Oh, you ran away?
They wouldn't even take my bribe, the jerks.
Man.
I mean, to be fair, I tried to stiff them on the bribe, but.
Yeah. Well, they probably deserved it.
Right?
Yeah, they're but speaking of hurricanes and communities that had been completely destroyed, had to move in Port. That's what happened at Port St. Joseph.
Yeah.
That whole community was just devastated by a hurricane.
Basically, didn't get washed into the bay, the whole community, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And so they had to the current city of Port St. Joe is where it was rebuilt.
Yeah.
So they moved it, and I think it took a couple years too. I can't remember the exact date, but they are also, they were also hit by like a yellow fever epidemic, like not long before that happened. So they got like a double whammy of really bad. Kind of like us, right? I mean, they had like a pandemic, and then they got wiped out by a hurricane, and then just said, "All right, we're gonna move."
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say that was late 1800s, maybe really early 1900s.
Where's Barbara when you need her?
Yeah, we need someone to Google stuff for us, or actually someone who just knows. She might.
I used to know that. I mean, I know that is definitely what happened, but
yeah.
My dates might be a little bit off. So let me look this up.
And I think we have tapped out this radial, so I'm going to move us to the next one.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so here we go. So I'm sorry, I don't know if I said a date, but I was thinking it was later in the 1800s, but it was actually in 1841. St. Joseph was hit by a yellow fever epidemic, and then 3 years later, in 1844, a storm surge produced by a hurricane pretty much just destroyed the town. What was left of the town. So I guess they were hit by a pandemic, an epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
I guess pandemic means it's global, right? Is that the
I believe so. Yeah.
okay? So it was the yellow fever epidemic that hit the town, and pretty much it was everybody, but it pretty much abandoned the town because they didn't know at that point how the disease was, how you would how you would get the disease. There was different ideas, but they didn't know exactly. So they abandoned most people abandoned the town. And then when the hurricane produced a storm surge in 1844, uh, that's what wiped the town out completely. And so it wasn't until 1909 that they relocated it and uh, moved it to what is currently the town of Port St. Joe, which is a lovely town, but which was also hit pretty hard by Hurricane Michael back in 2018. And that hurricane was in October, because we often think that, okay, once we're done with September, we'll be okay. Well, that's not true. Hurricane season extends into October. So,
Right. Okay. Looks like we may be stuck with a short one, which is okay.
I'm okay with
I
that.
can't find us a reasonably dense radio.
There's a moon hiding from me somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
try to find-
inconsiderate.
Yeah. What's its problem? Yeah, as soon as I find this moon, I can move away. It's amazing though that more of these towns that get hit by hurricanes don't just go, heck with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it because I don't either, so. Well, it looks like, yeah, this little tricky little moon is hiding somewhere. There's definitely more moons, and that just might be coincidence, but I'm noticing more moons than I usually see.
Oh, good. Pirates.
Good old pirates are back. So I guess the update didn't make them nicer, huh?
No.
Less greedy. I think I'm done with this one. Yeah, looks like I'm done. So that's let me get back to my science part and say none. All right. Have you moved on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to scan us a new one, but pirates then happened.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
It's all right.
But I heard Port St. Joe, from what I understand, they've pretty much rebuilt everything that has been damaged. One of my favorite places to stay, which you've been at before, I think you have, right?
Well, you haven't told me yet.
Well, the only hotel we ever go to in Port St. The Port, I think it's called the Port Inn. It's a historic hotel, and it was heavily damaged during Michael, but it just recently opened back up, just a few months ago. So hopefully we can get out there whenever the this pandemic calms down
Allows
or
us
goes
to,
away.
yeah.
Be nice to get back out there because we usually try to get out there in March because it's a good 3.5 4 hour drive from Pensacola to Port St. Joe, so we don't get to get out there as much as we like to. Some of our physical in-person programming and other workshops and stuff like that. So this pandemic hit halfway through March, and then so we usually do it at the end of March is when we go to Port St. Joe to do like several days of programs out there.
There.
And so of course that that didn't happen this year. So it'll be over a year, actually almost 2 years maybe that will be before we get back out there.
Yeah, it might be. Fortunately.
You know, assuming we get back out there this coming March next year, that'll be almost 2 years. I think. I'm hard to keep track. No, I guess it'd just be about no, because the last time I went really for program was March of 2019. No, yeah, March of 2019. So that'll be 2 years if we go back out in March. Time flies.
Yep.
Speaking of flying, I need to fly towards you.
I'm going to drop us a base.
How kind. Oh, I'll get there pretty fast. Look at that. One jump. I will get there fast this time. Oh, you know what I haven't done yet is my spaceship thing.
Oh yeah.
I almost forgot. And we're at like 1:30, so I think that's enough time to go
Sure,
by.
yeah, go for it.
So this one for me is actually, the ones I've picked. I guess I should explain what I'm doing. So every time we do a survey, I rename my spacecraft after a spaceship in a sci-fi movie or book or show or whatever, just anything with a spaceship in it, and I rename it after that spacecraft. And then whoever is joining us on Twitch, we see if they can guess from which sci-fi, pop culture, film or piece of literature that it came from. So that's kind of the game. And so it's cool when people know it right away. And I think like maybe, I guess Barbara's not with it. Barbara or Hank are usually the only ones. But
I knew last one.
You did know the last one right away. So if you really don't know it, you can always cheat and check it out and go to Google and see if you can find the answer on there. Usually you can, or whatever search engine you prefer. But so for today's survey, I've named my spacecraft the Razor Crest.
Oh, Barbara is here. Hi, Barbara.
Barbara's here.
Just in time for the competition.
All right.
She wants to know the name again.
The name of my spacecraft is the Razor Crest. And usually these are movies that like old ones that I've watched a long time ago. This one is one that I've just recently became familiar with. So I hope I got it right. And now I'm getting attacked by pirates.
Oh. Barbara knew it, and we have Gen McBexon actually in the channel who says he can't wait for season 2.
Oh, okay. So
I'm the only one that didn't know it then.
Oh, you didn't know it.
Not.
Man, you are not doing well at this game.
I got one. Well, two actually, because one time it was the ship name was the name of the movie.
Yeah, Event Horizon. Yeah,
that still counts.
That's my first one. It does. Yeah. So yeah,
I don't have Disney, Barbara.
Yeah, you got to have Disney. So we've had Disney for a little while now, but I haven't really had a chance to watch this series, although I've wanted to. But of course, it's The Mandalorian is what this this is the name of the Mandalorian character's spacecraft.
Star Wars.
Star Wars in this mini series, which season 2 is coming out, I think next month or something like that.
Good time for it. I think everyone could use it. That's pretty quick, isn't it?
For sure. I think so. I don't know exactly when. I guess we can look it up. When did The Mandalorian? That's good. I don't know. Let me check. Usually I bring it up on this on my Wikipedia. The Mandalorian. Okay, this came out in 2019. It launched in November 12th, 2019.
Okay.
The Mandalorian, also known as Star Wars The Mandalorian, is an American space western web television series created by Jon Favreau and released by Disney Plus. So yeah, you have to have Disney Plus to see it. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize this. It's set 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. Huh.
I thought it was before all that.
I thought so too. Huh. I'm confused now. Maybe Wikipedia is wrong because there's a character in there who I assumed was someone, but maybe it is not.
Do you mean Baby Yoda?
Yeah, I think in the show they call this character the Child.
Yeah.
And it's people have been calling it Baby Yoda. It's like fans in the media, but it actually in the series it's just known as the Child.
Yeah, they don't actually. I believe it's not actually supposed to be.
It's not Yoda. Yeah, if it took place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, then it's definitely maybe I didn't read the opening, title screen or something, but I totally did not realize. I'm kind of shocked right now. Because I assumed it was like Yoda, 100 years ago or something.
Well, if you think my lack of knowledge disturbs you, Gore, then you don't want to hear that I didn't actually know the name of the alien ship. Because I haven't seen it.
Shame on you.
Shame.
But you did know I will give you credit though, Tristan, because you did know the last one.
Which I bet he wouldn't know. What was it, Star Fury?
Star Fury, what?
Yeah, Star Fury.
Was that the name of it?
I think so.
No, I don't think that's what it was.
No, it wasn't. No, that's Babylon 5.
Yeah. Oh, great. You just ruined one.
Ruined your next one.
Oh, man. That was going to be next week. No, you got the one right from, it was called, I don't even remember what it was called.
Last Starfighter. I can't remember the name of the ship right now.
Gunstar.
Gunstar, you got it, yeah.
Yeah, you did know that. I'll give you credit. I didn't think anyone would get that one. But you did.
Aha.
So take that. That's funny. All right, I'm almost there. Are you in the system we're supposed to be in?
Yes.
Okay.
I just got
I'm there right now.
Our radial base planted.
So you did all the heavy lifting, and I show up for the glory.
All the work. And I've scanned this system already, so we can go ahead and start scanning around.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, well, that was the funnest one we've played so far. We actually had some participation. But usually there's no participation, so there's no payoff with it. So that was good.
Yeah, it's basically.
Although I will say,
you basically say, "Well, what is this?" And I say, "I don't know."
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what happened this time.
Yeah,
but
except some people knew. So
I didn't think. I thought this might. I thought this one could go either way. Either people would know it right away, or people would have no clue. Because it's one of those things where it's a fairly new series, and of course, there's not everybody has Disney Plus. So
right.
But yeah, good series. The actor who plays the Mandalorian is a guy named Pedro Pascal, and he's fantastic. He's been in some really great other series like Game of Thrones. He played one of the Martells, the brother, and then what else was he in? I have to look this up. He was in there was a series about oh man, hold on, let me look it up because now it's gonna bother me. Well, I mean, he's also been in some movies that probably weren't so good that I'm looking at now.
I mean, anyone who's done enough of that's going to have a few of those, right?
Oh, for sure. Narcos.
Huh.
That's a great series. He was in
Okay.
Narcos. And that was it came out a few years ago, but it was based on the a true story of the hunt for the for Pablo Escobar, who was a big time drug cartel leader in Colombia, which has nothing to do with archaeology. But anyways, he's a great actor. He
Well,
does a
except
great
for
job.
the anthropologists that study the gangs, right?
Oh yeah, that guy.
So we can draw a
Yeah.
line there still.
Yeah, that's true. In terms of cultural anthropology, that would totally
Definitely.
count. Yeah. But it's like, man, you've got to be, a different kind of actor to be like, okay, I'll be in a series where I never reveal my face.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't know this. I knew the voice. I couldn't tell exactly who it was, but I knew I recognized the voice. In The Mandalorian, there's a character who I can't remember his name, but he's like friends with the Mandalorian, and it turns out it's Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte plays this particular character in the
Okay.
show. Who was like, I don't know if you know who that is. Maybe you don't.
Not right now. If I looked him up, maybe I would.
He was a really big movie star, primarily in the 1970s and 1980s. He played on a lot of movies throughout that time period. Although none of them come to mind.
They really stuck with you.
Yeah, 48 Hours. He was in that, and the only reason I remember that one is because he was his co-star in that movie was the amazing comedic genius who is Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's amazing.
I haven't seen much of him in a while.
I think I want to say he did something recently, but I don't think I saw it. Okay, are you ready to?
I'm already
I
going.
was just attacked. Oh, you're already gone. All right. All right, so we're starting from this system. And, all right. This looks like a promising one. Maybe. I don't know. I like the name of this system anyways.
So Barbara said she heard an interesting story about an anthropologist that studies the history of debt.
Of debt?
Yeah.
I wonder if this anthropologist is in debt.
Yes, I am sure.
I mean, probably like everybody is to some extent.
Right.
I mean, that's how our system works.
And then also Native American controlled burns, which is also.
Oh.
I couldn't speak on that. I just know that that did happen, at least on the plains.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it happened even out here.
I'm not
I
surprised.
want to say I remember reading, and I think it had more to do with, from what I remember, it was on some hunting grounds. So it was kind of like trying to drive some of the. It was primarily deer, and I want to say this is the early 1800s because there was a lot of land that's now part of Gulf Islands National Seashore Naval Live Oaks area, which is managed by the National Park Service out here in Northwest Florida, but. A lot of that land at one time was owned by a pretty prominent judge named Henry Brackenridge. And I remember reading some of his letters, and he was talking about, because he had purchased this land, which had been become a U.S. territory in 1821, but it had been traditionally the hunting grounds for like the Muskogee speaking people. And so the land was kind of taken from them through a whole bunch of different things that took place in the late 1700s and early 1800s. But I remember in one of his letters him writing about the fires that some of the indigenous people had been setting to the land that he had come to acquire, and that's why, and it had just been something that they had always done. I'm not sure he knew exactly why. I'm assuming.
Hmm. Yeah, in the plains, as I've been told, so I haven't looked into this for a while, but they would actually burn the grasses because that would revitalize the grasses. They grow fresh and new, and that would bring in game for them to hunt. That
Oh
could be out of date, but maybe I don't know for sure on that one.
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
It makes
I
a kind
mean,
of
at
sense,
all.
I think.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, now they do control burns all the time.
In
In
Florida,
at
anyway.
least oh yeah, all the time. Just because that literally the entire ecosystem, that longleaf pine ecosystem that once dominated not only this part of Florida but most of the United States, was dominated by longleaf pine ecosystem until it was literally destroyed. I mean, they just cut it all down until there's nothing left.
But it's
But that
also
entire
it's also one of the
sorry, go
best
ahead.
ways to get rid of invasives.
Exactly, burn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, those trees, those longleaf pine, and that ecosystem was completely adapted to dealing with fires, wild forest fires,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them were just Nate caused by nature, but some of them were intentionally. A lot of them were. Well, I don't know the exact percentage, but I know a number of them were human caused and they continue to be. Most of the fires that take place out here now are all controlled burns. So these are land managers trying to burn away invasive species and make room for this
And
new
to get rid
growth.
of deadwood and be safer
That is,
overall.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, because if you leave that stuff just laying on the ground for years and years and years, it becomes a source for a really intense out of control fires if something goes wrong. So I knew a guy who did that. He used to do control burns.
So Barbara says, um, our idea of barter isn't always what is reflected in actual barter practices. If I'm getting this right, basically, in unequal barters were sometimes intentional because you wanted to have, I think, in my mind at least, a hook to make the person come back and do business with you next time. If I understand that correctly.
You mean barter in terms of like trading?
Yeah, as far as the anthropology of debt.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was
Sorry,
thinking
I was going back.
barber.
Yeah, not
I
not
was like,
not in the archaeology of haircutting.
I mean, there might be something there, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. But it's like you said. I mean, really, anything that's human created is something worthy of study for anthropology,
Yes, definitely.
like this game.
Right? Yeah.
Although I mean, was this game? I mean, obviously, yeah, humans created it, but my understanding is that a lot of this stuff is just generated by. Is that how it works? Is that how they can get some of this amazing amount of like random solar solar systems
Yeah.
and throughout this huge universe? It's basically the computers just like
So they
creating it.
they basically create the algorithm or algorithms probably that generates all these planets and everything. Um, and while you could say that's not now that's machines, not human, but humans still made all of it. So even though it's not handcrafted, it's still there is still value of anthropology studies, cultural studies within this computer generated universe. That's not what we're studying, of course, because we are looking specifically for player activity. But there are definitely aspects of and studies going on about uh, the games themselves as an archaeological site. I know there's been some into like Skyrim, for example, and studying not only the cultures represented in the game, but how we perceive how we understand culture and what we want to know about culture and how we communicate ideas of different cultures and all that kind of stuff. I just
So that's why you don't let me ride all these animals and these planets.
because it's a waste of time, Mike. We're doing real science here.
Is it though? Is it really a waste of time?
No, it's not. It makes you happy, therefore it's not a waste of time.
See, thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
I know. It was a lie. It's okay.
All right. Well, I'm on to my next system now.
Okay.
I know you probably already done a few.
We're almost done, I think, with this radial. No, we're
Are you
not.
serious?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say. I'm gonna go for the low-hanging fruit here. Oh, maybe not. I'm just gonna go with the ones that are easiest to spell. That's my new. Oh, this one has an interesting. It almost sounds like Roman. Ovilius. Huh. All right.
Space Romans. I think I read a book about that one time.
About what?
Space Romans.
Ah.
Actually, I think it was interdimensional Romans.
What was that about? Interdimensional Romans?
It was a fantasy thing. And it kind of was repeatedly kind of alluded to that they were descended of like a Roman legion that somehow wandered into another planet, like entirely. It was kind of weird. I liked it, but it's hard to explain and make it not sound really ridiculous. Jim Butcher, I think, was the author.
Yeah, I never heard of that one. It sounds like that shows Sliders.
He did. They weren't repeatedly going in and out of dimensions like in Sliders, as I understand it. But he did the Harry Dresden, Chicago modern detective wizard, basically.
Gotcha.
Which is probably his more popular work. I can't see anything through those rings.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. I'm in a very large planet with a lot of rings.
I think they got more opaque. I don't remember having any issues before.
That update. Scanning more planets. Nothing here. Well, striking out again.
Yep. Whole lot of null data so
It's
far.
hard. Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't found something by this point.
Well, we
Just
had a close one, I think, where we found the system that had been hand named by somebody. But I think if it hadn't been a 3-year-old, the activity hadn't been 3 years old, we probably would have found something.
Oh, how do you know it was 3 years old?
I could see when it was named. It had a date on it.
Really?
Yeah, which means it would have gone through several major patches that destroyed bases, I know. So that's my suspicion.
Gotcha. Too bad.
So we had a close one. I think we'll, as we get closer to the core, we should have more luck as well. It's my hypothesis, which is written down, even if it's not currently publicly accessible like it should be.
Oh, for shame.
Science is sad.
Well, it's not always published right away, right?
I should have the plan out there, basically, not the results.
I mean, you do. It's just not necessarily,
I have it written
publicly.
down, yeah.
Yeah, so that counts.
It counts. Just not quite ideal, maybe. Pirates again.
Yeah, Barbara is also impressed that they have a date on them.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I thought you were just like making that up.
Nope.
I was like, how do you know that?
I mean, I'd have to go look to make sure 100% when the date was, but I'm pretty sure it said it was about 3 years old.
Nice.
Or I might have written it down. Probably did. That's kind of important.
Or you could just people can just go back to the episode and
That's right. Actually,
watch
it's all
watch
recorded, isn't it?
unfold. Yeah, so technically it is out there because we've recorded it and we put it out there.
You should have the plan out publicly accessible, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is. You just go to our YouTube
the
channel.
recording, the survey is out publicly accessible. There is a difference.
Yeah, but we talked about what we're gonna do though, so one might argue that we have done that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Yeah.
Not successfully.
I'm not convinced.
I'm sure nobody else is either.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Barbara says, "Where's your note about the age in your field notebook?"
I believe it is actually in our records. So, ha.
Well, there you have it, Barbara. Let's go to another system. Oh, you just went to that one. All right. Back me out. I hate it when it does that. I'm about to pick one and then it backs me out.
Yeah, I've had that
It's
happen
like
too.
it's disappointed that I'm not going fast enough.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Taking too long. Well, especially when we're down to like the last few and I find one and then it drops me right in the last second. I have to find it again.
Yeah. Making our job harder.
Tell you what, though, I'm glad we're doing this now and not when the No Man's Sky first came out, because I think it would have been more difficult. Well, first of all, I don't think you could build bases, and then you also couldn't see other players and cooperate together, so it would have been a real challenge.
Yeah, sure.
We probably wouldn't even be doing this.
Barbara also says that she feels like you should have a field notebook on your website when you make that happen. And then when will you make that happen?
That is part of my goal. Basically, I want to do mini reports every week, but we're kind of in the middle of rebranding right now. So, because No Man's Sky Archaeological survey has already been taken, and I didn't know that. So, I'm trying to figure that out as well. But yeah, I want to do little mini reports about, probably just a paragraph. We did this many planets and we found 0 settlements, that kind of thing.
What we could do is we could do audience feedback about what we're thinking about for rebranding it.
Yeah?
No?
Yeah, let's do it. Go for it.
All right, so like Tristan said, we call this No Man's Sky Archaeological Survey, but apparently there's someone who already has used that name, and we just didn't realize that. So we were thinking about, trying to come up with something that's a little not necessarily descriptive of what we're doing, but just a little funner, maybe a little throwback. And so we thought, what if the first thing that came to my mind was like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? So I thought, what if we called it Tristan and Mike's Most Excellent No Man's Sky Adventure?
Or
And I thought that was brilliant for me to come up with that myself.
brilliant.
But I'm not sure it is. So if anybody is out there on Twitch, if you want to tell us if you think that's a good thing to call it, or maybe you have an idea. Maybe you've come up with a really good idea that we could totally take and use. Let us know in the chat.
As far as I know, it's just Barbara in there right now.
Oh, Barbara, let us know. I think I saw other users in chat. No, there's a couple other users.
Okay.
I see, yeah. A couple other folks.
Don't make them talk if they don't want to, though. Some people like to lurk, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you want to, just let us know. You'll save us some time in trying to rebrand it if we put it out there and people hate it.
Barbara approves.
Well, that's all I needed to hear.
Yep, she is the boss, so, you know.
It's all that matters.
That sounds like the end of the discussion.
Look. Oh, looks like I've got someone trying to communicate with me. Let's see who it is. Yeah, it's a pirate. That's all right. I'll take care of these. Oh, what is this thing? There you go. Bunch of them. Okay. Little did this pirate know that he was messing with the wrong. What is my ship called again?
I don't remember what you called it.
The Razor Crest. I hope these pirates have obviously never seen The Mandalorian.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to mess with that, I don't think.
No, big time. Big mistake. All right. I can get back to what I was doing. Looks like I picked another fairly small system, which is good for me. Saves me time.
Let you catch up a little bit.
Oh wow, this looks like it has 3 stars or 3 suns in this system.
I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh yeah, I almost flew into a black hole. That's alarming.
Well, you know, if you would have flown through that, maybe it would have put you in the middle of the galaxy.
Hazardous space exploration right there. No, I'm not going to go in, Gore. Thank you.
I think you should do what our fans say.
Yeah, I'm worried about getting back.
I hope you've made a lot of extra warp fuel.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you gave me half of what you had.
No, I didn't.
Oh, because you know that eventually I'll run out and we'll need some more.
Yes, the system of debt in the anthropology of bartering, right?
Ah, that's what this is.
Yeah, exactly. Have to keep them coming back.
Oh man, I should have paid attention in social studies. Well, that's another none for this system. None. We should have like a for our 300th system. We should do something.
Yeah, want to fly into a black hole?
maybe, yeah, maybe we should, or do like a free giveaway for our 300th. If you're present for our 300th uh, system visit, we'll mail you a free pen.
We could do that.
Yeah,
Maybe we
we
should,
could.
since we're coming up with it now, maybe we should up the ante a little bit. Maybe 500.
Oh, go to 500.
What do you think?
I mean, that'll be a while. So you
It'll be
okay?
a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking because if we do the 300, yeah, well, it'll be. Yeah, we actually might hit that today. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. We should probably not do 300. I'm okay with that. I said, what if we meet in the middle? Speaking of, since we're talking about barter, one thing that's important in bartering is negotiation. So,
But since I've been giving you all this fuel, you owe me, which means you probably have to go with what I want, right?
but in Western society, we have this thing called a contract. So I never signed any piece of paper. So I've watched enough Judge Judy to tell you that since we didn't write it down, your chances of getting restitution in a court of law, at least in Western society, is probably pretty low. Although I guess that this is all recorded, so you could just submit that.
Yep, there we go. You're doomed.
So 500 it is. Yeah, that sounds. And I guess maybe if we do 500, if people stick with us, maybe we should give more than just a pen. You know what? Or here's a crazy idea.
Go ahead.
I'm waiting. I was waiting for you to.
I'm waiting for the crazy idea.
I know. I was waiting. I was trying to get the tension to build up a little bit.
Oh, okay. And I broke it. Sorry.
What if we got swag just for Tristan and Mike's most excellent No Man's Sky survey adventure?
Do a logo like we said, and then do a sticker maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, that would promote what we're doing. Or we can just give people a koozie with the FPAN logo.
Yeah,
That'd
it's already
probably be
made.
the easier option. Yeah, I mean that's a lot easier actually. Okay, so yeah, well, what does our audience think?
What does our boss think?
What does our boss think? I know we have koozies we can spare at the headquarters.
Yeah, we definitely do.
And lots of Archaeology Month posters.
Those would be harder to ship though.
That's true. Well, we can make it happen.
Yeah, I think we should talk about doing something.
Yeah, for number 500, I feel like it's a milestone.
Scanner seems to be getting buggy on me.
Sad update.
Yeah, it's overheating.
All right, I'm headed on somewhere. Flying through the space. I'm going to a system called. Oh, wait a minute. Did you do that one already? No. I don't think you did. And then we should do something for when we find an actual human-built,
Dance.
player-built base.
I mean, that's
Could
when
you-
when you're in the field and you finally find the thing, or you find something especially cool. Literal field dances have happened. I have seen them. They're amazing.
Are there different styles of field dances?
It's basically lots of jumping up and down. Probably my favorite was I was working with another archaeologist, and it was So there was the Transcontinental Railroad as it passed north of Salt Lake, and there was a town that used to service trains going by, and there were records of um, pipelines bringing water in for the town and the trains, I'm sure. And so we dug and dug and dug and dug, and there's actually supposed to have been 3 over time, and we actually found the original hollowed out log pipe, and there was much rejoicing because it was dang
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we're talking probably 150 years old at that point.
Wow. So the field dances commenced.
Yes, definitely. And it was kind of cool because we're in the desert, but you'd look out over this scrub brush, dry, mostly bare soil area, and like there's a little oasis of green stuff growing a bunch. And there's a little bit over there, and you could, if you looked at them, it's like they made a line. And so this pipe was actually still, even now, carrying a little bit of water and was leaking and causing the environment to change.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It was really cool.
Oh, and Barbara said koozies are always good.
Yep. Sounds like she's a fan of koozies. We'll send her
All
one.
right. Sure, she doesn't have enough.
I'm sure she doesn't.
People like free stuff.
That is
There's
true.
there's some
I know I do.
anthropology in that. I know I do too. I often chant for it at concerts.
You do. And it occasionally pays out, apparently.
It does. If you ever want like a free Jack Daniels hat, then just start chanting "We want free stuff" at a concert, and they'll toss you
As long as you
Jack
can get,
Daniels.
what is it, your number? Your magic number? 2 other people with you?
Yeah, you need at least there's a whole thing behind it. You need a couple people. I think 2 or 3 is the magic number, and then usually you can get a whole crowd. Well, I've searched high and low in this particular. Oh, wait a minute. Am I missing 1, 2, 3? Okay, yeah, I did this one. And I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing here. So, none.
Yeah, Barbara, no parties, 'cause COVID.
Yeah, I guess, you have to save that sage advice for things, if things ever go back to normal.
Yep.
Until then, no man's sky.
Right. Archaeological survey, or Tristan and Mike's, I already forget.
Well, that is not a good sign then for our rebranding. Maybe we ought to think of something else. Most excellent No Man's Sky survey adventure.
Right.
Although I guess we should check and see what the what acronym that actually spells.
That's true. Before we commit to that, let's make sure
It
it's
might
not something
be-
vulgar.
It might be bad if. Let me think about this. Most excellent No Man's Sky survey. Well, I guess it's No Man's Sky survey adventure. Temenessa.
I feel like that's maybe safe. Check Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
No, don't
Yeah.
check Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. I know. At least not on a work computer.
We're
All right.
anthropologists. We have a good excuse.
That's true. Where have you not been? Is a big question. question. Oh, that looks like a Lobodome. Oh, you did that one. Okay. This one looks maybe promising. It's got a sort of unusual name. I'm gonna go to it. Check it out. I wonder what, these spaceships in these movies, what are they supposed to be made out of? Just like steel?
I don't actually know. There are living spaceships that you can get, actually. These are not they.
What do you mean living spaceships?
They're made of creature. They're organic spaceships.
Oh.
They're fairly recently introduced, and I think really rare, but people have definitely been hunting them down.
We're talking about in this game?
Yes.
Okay. Well, now I want one. How much do they cost?
You have to find them.
Oh, so they're just like on planets, or just like out there?
I think they're crashed, and you have to fix them up or something. I haven't looked into it too much yet.
Can you crash like spaceships and abandon them in this game, so where we could find like player built?
No, the only ones you can find like that are actually game generated by the game.
Okay, so those are the ones that you salvage.
Yes. So I have a, where was it? A Dostop 12. And I see maybe you've done a Dostop with an extra P on the end. Are these different systems, you think, or is this the same one? I'm going to jump there.
Oh, sorry, let me look. Oh, yeah, I did that one. So, sorry, I forgot to add the number.
All right, I'll just add it real quick.
That's a poor recording. I usually don't do that.
Good thing your crew chief is watching you.
You can dock my pay.
Yeah.
So instead of getting 20 warp cells,
give
me 19. Give me 19.
10% of everything I pay you.
Yeah, I guess that's how you pay me in this game.
I guess.
You pay me in warp cells.
Well, and I basically own your ship, so.
I mean, 9/10 of the law is possession, right?
Uh-huh.
So you may own it, but I possess it. Oh, well, actually, probably not for very long, because there's a pirate.
Yeah, so someone else will possess it soon.
At least, one thing I do appreciate, though, is, like, honest pirates. Like, this particular pirate is not telling me, like, hey, there's kind of a dangerous area. You might need some protection. Pay me and I'll protect you. This one is just coming out and saying, give me my money or I'll exterminate you.
That's fairly fair.
Yeah, it's like, all
Although
right.
the dishonest ones sometimes make for the best stories, such as Pensacola's pirate run-in, which is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And we haven't told that one, have we?
I think we probably have, but you can tell it again. That's a good one. Everybody loves a little pirate story.
Well, Mike has more of the details, but basically it runs, you remember the guy's name? Right now?
Oh, man.
I can look it up, but.
I can't remember it.
A pirate showed up at Pensacola in his ship and basically said, hey, I've got this whole fleet behind me. Give me all your money and things, or we're going to attack. And Pensacola got all ready and armed and said no. And he said, okay, and left because he was bluffing the whole time. he didn't have any fleet behind him. And I just think that's the coolest thing, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah. History can be quite funny.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that needs to be a drunk history, like
Yeah.
just reenact.
I'm not sure it's long enough, but
what's happening.
you could probably elaborate a little bit.
I mean, you could definitely, string it out for sure. Especially if you had like actors playing it out,
Yeah.
or you making up dialogue and stuff. That'd be funny. All right, looks like I need to mark this as a none.
Well, that's a surprise. And a disappointment.
Yeah. At this point, it's kind of just like it's what I expect.
Right.
The real tragedy is if I had actually been to a system like 100 systems ago that had one, and I just didn't bother scanning a moon or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm sure you just missed it. You thought, that's not worthwhile, and that was the one with the base on it.
Right.
Way to go.
That's how it happened.
Or you mislabeled it.
Well, I mean, you got distracted.
Uh-huh. By pirates.
I was entering data, and then I got attacked. So in a way, they did steal something from us. They stole the most valuable thing from us. And that
Our
was
integrity.
And integrity. And information.
So, with the hurricane having hit once again, have you guys had a slew of people calling in with new shipwrecks found?
I mean, generally that happens. Actually, not that I know of. I mean, usually, I think people are still kind of in recovery mode. So it's like
So give it
that
a
might
week,
be part
maybe.
of it. Yeah, at this point, I think if usually what will happen is it'll be a shipwreck that's known that had been, during the time of its wrecking, it had, been pushed on shore, and then over time, it like rots, and then eventually sand will cover it up. What remains that gets buried in the sand, and that will just kind of stay covered, and then the storm comes through and it uncovers it, and then people will come and report it, and then sometimes it's a shipwreck that archaeologists didn't know about in the area, but a lot of times it's something that's already been recorded that just gets exposed with every storm surge. But yeah, this time, not that I know of. Actually, that's not true. Not in Pensacola, but I did see a post. I want to say it was somewhere near Mobile Bay or in Alabama, where there was a ship that was an old ship that had been uncovered, and there's this really cool photo that the person who reported it took of this kid kind of standing in front of it, and they think that, at least based on the article, they were saying that they thought it was like a steamship that used to have like a casino or something on it.
Well, that's cool.
But then it had wrecked. But well, here's the thing. In the article, this individual who found it said that he had taken a nail from it and he was going to go try to get a date.
That is not so cool.
No, and they claim in the article that's on private property, but that's unlikely. I mean,
if it's
because
in a river or waterway,
right,
chances are it's not.
Yeah, and it's actually the state. The state owns it and manages it. So, and most states have laws against doing that sort of thing, and a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
But it sounds like. So I was hoping that the in Alabama they have the Alabama Historical Commission. That's basically their version of, or that is their state historic preservation office. Is just what they call it. So they would actually be the ones responsible for documenting it. It's probably, and it sounded like it was the same thing where it's one that has been known of for quite a while, and it's just got uncovered again. But so far, at least in our area where it hit in Pensacola and in Gulf Breeze, I haven't heard of anything. Although I'm sure some of those wrecks were exposed because it usually happens.
Right.
But my theory is that people are just so busy trying to get power and deal with flooding in their houses that they just haven't bothered to report it, or haven't really taken the time to go out on the beach and come across it as it was exposed. And a lot of the times they'll cover up back pretty quickly. A few months ago, we had a wreck, that a known wreck over on what's the Gulf Islands National Seashore, over in the kind of Pensacola area.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a wreck that's right on the beach there that pretty much every storm it will be uncovered, and then people will report it,
Right.
or mess with it. And so that this woman had been out there after a storm, and it wasn't a major storm or anything, it was just like a regular storm, and just a lot of surf activity. And it had uncovered it, and she reported it. And then we were our office was contacted, and then so we contacted the Gulf Islands National Seashore staff. And then because we wanted to go out there and basically just record it, because it's a shipwreck that's already been well recorded, it's already known. One of our grad students had actually done photogrammetry, which is basically taking a bunch of pictures of really anything, any object or site or whatever.
What was that?
Artifact. Micah. He took pictures
Okay.
of it, and we've got it on our Sketchfab. It's up on the website. That he made that model. But this was last year, so we thought, okay, well, let's do it again and see if we could look at any changes to it since last time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it had been, I think, a year or two ago. I can't remember exactly when that was. But because we were doing archaeological research, because we were documenting and tracking changes, then we needed a permit just to do that. So we had to wait. It didn't take them long. It took 2 or 3 days, and the permit came through. They approved our permit, and then we went out there, and by the time we got out there, it had been covered back up. So that was only in a matter of 4 or 5 days from the time it was first reported to we got out there, and it was already covered back up. So, but who knows? Maybe we will this week, but so far we haven't. Let me see if I can find that article.
Well, if you're interested in shipwrecks and actually a bit more of this discussion, we had a visit from underwater archaeologist Nicole while we played Sea of Thieves, and actually talked about underwater archaeology and ship construction, and actually where Sea of Thieves represented things pretty accurately and where they're clearly having fun. And actually there's some fairly accurate looking shipwrecks in Sea of Thieves, so that's a fun one. Let me put a link to that in our chat if that interests anybody.
Yeah, good deal. And I've got this article was actually, I saw it in the weather. It was reported in the Weather Channel. Hurricane Sally exposes boat not seen for decades, and this was just a couple days ago. Yeah, it looks like a steamship. But yeah, that was the only kind of issue that I saw with it. It was this person who came across it removed, disturbed it, which is number one, it's illegal, and then number two, it can actually, it's illegal because it can actually damage the resource.
It
so
did.
It did. I mean, it's best to just. I mean, he didn't need to do that because I'm sure the Alabama Historical Commission has all the information about it already.
And you can just take a photo of this stuff, basically.
Right. And it looks like he just posted it on social media, and then it just kind of, just started trending, I guess. So I don't know if he actually reached out to the entity in charge of this stuff. Hopefully they know about it. I mean, it's made national news, so I'm sure they know about it now.
Sure, yeah.
But a lot of times people do that. They just don't know. I mean, they just don't know.
Right, but think of it like a crime scene, because it's actually kind of similar. Something happened, and it's the job of the detectives essentially to figure out what went what happened in the exact location, everything is really important to figuring that out. Archaeology works very much the same way. Something happened over a longer period of time usually, and we're trying to figure out what happened, and location is really important for that. So that's kind of why it matters so much to us. But yeah, not to make anyone try and feel guilty or anything. Just our job is to make sure we let people know so that when they do come across that kind of thing, they know what to do about it.
Yeah. So this actually made Fox News, and it was over in Bayou Sarah in Saraland, Alabama, which I'm not sure exactly where that's at. Saraland, Alabama, but it like I said, it made the rounds across the news, and it's a great photograph of this young kid looking at this wreck. Pretty nice photograph. But they're saying that they think it was a paddle boat that was docked there in the 70s, and that apparently the owners were going to use it as a gambling boat, but they never got the right licenses. But it would technically, even if it probably the ship, just because it wrecked in the 70s doesn't mean it was made in the 70s. It probably predates that for when it was actually built. But even if it was built in the 70s, it would be a historic wreck at this point. I think that's because it'd be over 50 years.
Well, depending on when in the 70s. If it was at 70, then it would be 50 years.
Yeah, but it sounds like it was a ship, like a paddle steamer that had already been old that they were going to convert into.
But that doesn't mean it's archaeologically significant. When it's deposited would be the date they use.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because if a building is 100 years old and someone relocates it to another place, it loses a lot of its protections through the National Register and that kind of thing. So location is a critical part of it, kind of like what I was saying, only on a different scale. And actually, vehicles, for example, if you're driving around a 50-year-old vehicle, then it's not archaeology on wheels. It's when it's deposited, when it's thrown in the dump or whatever, that's when it becomes potentially an archaeological site. And actually, we don't usually count cars if we find them abandoned in the woods because there's no way of knowing how long they've been there for that very reason.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I don't know what this one. I mean, it sounds like it is probably 50 years old at least that it was deposited, but it doesn't say a specific date. But at any rate, I mean, you definitely should take parts of shipwreck off because it could be someone's private property too. I mean,
right. Well, and also, even if it's not 50 years old, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not archaeologically significant too. You know, there's that factor as well.
Yeah.
Even if I was kind of talking about the legal definition there, but there is other considerations.
See if I can find I'm finding like random articles about it. Yes, Saraland, Alabama. Never heard of Saraland, Alabama. I'll put the article in here. This is from a local news article. Oh, my pitch window is gone. So maybe not. Bring it back up. Or I'm sure people could just Google Saraland, Alabama shipwreck.
Could link it if you find it.
Yeah, I'm gonna message. There you go. But I figured we'd probably. Oh, it
seems like every single time there's something found. Sometimes it's new, sometimes it's not. There was.
This is interesting. It says, so this article is a little bit more information than the one I was just reading from. It says that according to this article, and that this may be true or maybe not be true, says it actually burned down in the 90s after sitting there for more than 30 years. And they say as far as how old it might be, the type of nails used reveal it was likely built more than a century ago. So I guess this guy, at least according to this other article I read yesterday,
More than a
it's
century.
stated that he took a nail from it.
When was it supposed to be built again?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't actually
not
say
sure,
that in
okay.
in that article. It said that it was going to be reused for gambling in the 70s, and then they never got their license, and I guess it just sat there for many decades until it finally burned in the 90s. And then the article is saying that, but based on the nails, and I'm not sure where they're getting this information from, that they think it's probably at least a century old. But if it's make kind of sense if it was a paddle wheel steamship,
Right.
that it would be 100 years old. Although
Seems-
paddle wheel steamships did not generally last more than 20 years. I mean, a lot of those just didn't last very long.
Seems
'Cause they,
likely,
blew
from what
up.
they're saying. Yeah, from what they're saying, I would guess that they're basing that off of it being a machine cut nail. So what we usually call square nails that we see in furniture and roofing still these days. Because 1870s, 80s, that's when they started to transfer to using mostly wire nails like we do now. So that's, I'm guessing based on what they're saying, that that's what they found and why they said that. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if the Alabama Historical Commission has said anything about it.
Yeah.
Although I'm not just on like real quick searches. I'm not seeing anything that's quoting them directly.
I'd love to see the nail.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that photo you can find, and it's a really good photo. But just a lot of these articles are not.
Barbara understands
Giving a
my
lot
love
of
for
detail.
nails. I'm kidding, she doesn't.
Nobody cares.
Nobody understands how cool nails are.
I can appreciate the value of nails.
Yeah. It is kind of cool. You can get a date from them if you have enough, or you can actually get some ideas of what the structure was like, depending on the kinds of nails you find. That's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. Barbara says you're a nail nerd.
I own that title. If I could make a title in this game myself, that is a title I would make.
Is there like a whole book all about different historic nails?
Yes. It's actually
Did you write?
no. I own a mostly photocopied version. I would own the actual, but it's not out of print. But it's actually, it was typing nails in Louisiana specifically. And they go through all the different kinds of heads and the different ways they would cut them, and oh my goodness. But yeah, they would tend to use certain heads in different time periods, and different materials. Sometimes they started off using iron before they shifted to steel, that kind of thing. Yeah, Barbara says she's more of a bottle or ceramic nerd. I'm definitely on board with the bottles. I am less on board with ceramics. I think one of the reasons I like bottles is because they have such clear markers telling their history. So if you know what to look for, you can see, places where dots are, places where certain marks are, what the mouth is like, and those are pretty clear markers about when they were made. Whereas pottery, basically you find like some blue transfer print and you say, yeah, they're still making that today. So it's kind of disappointing to me sometimes.
This got a bounty.
Oh yeah?
I heard
On
an
you or
alarm
one you
go-
can collect?
No, one I can collect. Yeah, just one I can collect. I was looking for systems. Looks like we've done a lot of them in this one. I'm trying to find one. I heard the alarm go off, and then I thought it was a pirate.
What's your favorite ceramic type, Barbara? I think that if I remember right, this is going to be good. I have to wait for the delay.
It's the one with. It's probably the one I'm thinking of.
It might be. Go ahead and say it if you know it.
I can't remember the name of
I
it, but
can't
I know
either.
it has to do with poop. Is that what we're talking about?
No, urine.
Urine. Okay.
Yeah. Not much better. Oh, blue flow. Okay.
Blue flow.
Flow blue. Sorry, flow blue. Yeah, I don't remember how that was made, but I know it used urine somehow in the paint, I think, which is just ew. Of course, some of the materials they would make that stuff out of is not something you would want in your ceramics or bottles these days.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, all those chemicals.
There is lead glaze, and there is lead in bottles. There are bottles that have uranium in them, and they actually still glow in the dark.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, yeah.
Have you ever found those?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've personally seen one. And I'm generally okay with that.
It was valuable, probably.
They're kind of rare,
Yeah,
probably because they killed a bunch of people off or something. But
probably, yeah.
Yeah, one of the most common, valuable and rare ones is what we call purple glass, or if you're trying to be hoity-toity, you can call it solarized glass. Oh, okay. Yeah, flow blue isn't the urine one.
It's not.
No, she's going to look that up for us.
Flow yellow.
Yeah. But solarized glass is basically they added manganese to the glass to make it clear. But when it's exposed to sunlight over time, it actually turns purple. And so that's one that people like. Hey, Hank, you came in just in like the last 10 minutes or so.
You missed all the good stuff about the urine and the pottery.
Yes.
I did find a planet that has a sort of peculiar name, Kofun, and then space 85/L3.
I think I've seen some that would still fit under that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean our real giveaway here is going to be if we see a base marker, kind of like when we go back to the radial system. It has the base marker where I put the base down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just saying the name was a little peculiar. Yeah. So far, nothing. Oh. Well, looks like, I mean, we still got about 10 minutes or so, I think.
We got 3 more and we've hit 300. No, 4 more.
4 more?
Yep.
Oh, man. Good thing we didn't do that prize.
Yeah. You'd have to own up to it.
I know. You get a free Luna the Cat book.
Digital version.
Digital. Oh, that wouldn't be right. But people can get a copy if they want for free. All it costs you is a little bit of time. Oh wow, I'm now technician entity. It's my two my new title.
Mochaware, that's it.
Oh, mocha, yes. Yeah.
Mochaware is the
Mocha,
one,
mocha.
it's in the glaze, right, Barbara? They use urine in the glaze, which is, of course, the stuff that's on the outside.
Yeah. I wouldn't, I guess it's the potter's urine. Is that
I
whose
don't actually
urine
know.
is it?
Maybe Barbara can... If you got a link, Barbara, share it in the chat for us.
She says, Flow Blue is the blue transfer print that they purposely let the blue glaze run, and sometimes you find ghost marks. They use urine in the glaze to make it look feathery. Okay, so for all you potters out there, if you're making pots and you're thinking, how can I make this pot
Get some
look
materials
a
on
little
the cheap
more
that
feathery,
way.
then just pee in your glaze, apparently, and that's how you do it.
History's gross.
Now, have either of you licked mochaware ceramic to see if it was bone or
No.
pottery?
I have licked plenty of bone, but I have not done that. Barbara believes the urine was cow, and
Oh, cow.
not the potters.
Hey, you know whose job I wouldn't want?
Person whose job is to collect the urine.
Yeah. I get a feeling that it didn't go always as planned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they didn't. I'm sure they used a bucket or something, but I mean, I have children, and you often miss the toilet, and these are humans we're talking about.
Yes.
Well, it looks like we've put a dent in this system. Oh, there's one more, and we're at 100 or 300. Sorry.
Well, we have to go 301 to get 300. Because our number one is with our header for the data.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
Got to get it right.
I don't know. And it's
You
true.
find one more?
I'm looking.
I could
really
always move to the next radial, too, but I bet we've got one or two more.
I found one. Hold on. I don't think you looked at this one. Yeah, I'm in one now. I think I spelled its name right. I'll go back and look to make sure. I know how you get when I don't spell the names right.
Data. Don't corrupt my data.
Is this a 2 or a 3? It doesn't matter.
It's only data.
Just throw out the lot. Now, how cool would it be if I found the 300? If I get the 300th system and find the first base in the same one?
I think that would be perfect.
We can just quit.
Yeah. That's it. We retire.
Nesarabi. Oh, there's an A in it. Hold on. Make sure I put an A in it. All right. So I guess technically one more and then we're at 300. And everybody can be present for this historic moment. It's like almost we're SpaceX. People are watching us bring a rocket down back to Earth and land for the first time.
Only
this is the equivalent of that. Right
it
now,
is exact, 100% equivalent. Yes, I'm sure.
I would argue that it's actually harder.
You would you? Because they had a whole team.
Yeah.
This is just two of us.
This is two people. Yeah. So far, no, nothing. Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of disappointed people in a minute. I think, actually, this one does have quite a few planets, which is kind of nice. Okay, that one. I think I've looked at all of them.
All right, there's one more planet here. Let's see if this is going to be the one.
This will be it. I got a feeling. Statistically, this has to happen. I mean, I just totally have no idea if that was true. But...
Nope.
Nothing?
Nada.
But is that our 301st? All right. We did it.
We hit
Or
300.
300.
Yep.
300. That's me clapping.
Yes. It doesn't come through that mic very well.
How about now?
It's kind of weird, actually.
How about if I snap my fingers?
Gen McBexon is celebrating 300 with us, and Barbara's still talking about urine.
All right. Well, you know, that's a good way to end this. That's a good way. That's a good way to end this one, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
300 and finally talked about the ceramics with P in it. You know we're running out of material when we have to go to the ceramic with the P in it.
We aren't running out of material. I'm surprised we didn't start with that.
That's true. Mainly because I couldn't remember what it was called.
Yeah, it didn't help.
What was it? It's called
Mochaware.
Mochaware. People will never order a mocha from Starbucks again and have the same desire to drink it, I think. Because that's what it reminds me of. Mocha.
Yeah, I wonder where that
frappe mocha
name
latte.
comes from. Yeah.
Now you know.
Now that's where the name comes from, I'm sure. Let's make up
Probably
something
because,
historical about it.
Maybe, I don't know if this is true, but it makes sense. Maybe because when they first started making those types of drinks, they served them in the mochaware.
Oh,
Mocha stone.
Found one more system.
And I found a pirate.
Yep. They found me. We're finding me too, so I'd let you have them.
All right, I'll take care of this. Let me take out the trash.
Mocha stone.
Mocha stone.
Barbara says it comes from the mocha stone, which doesn't help me out.
Because mocha, it's usually chocolate, right? I mean, that's when they say mocha, it's the flavor. I have no idea if that's historic or if that's just what they call it. I'm sure we could look it up. Ships defeated. Once again, I have defeated the pirates. Mocha. I'm going to look it up. Mochaccino is a coffee flavored. Yeah, we knew that. From Italy. The name is derived from the city of Mocha, Yemen, which was one of the centers of early coffee trade. Oh. So the mocha, the drink, is after this town in Yemen called Mocha. Now we know. It was famous for being the major marketplace for coffee from the 15th century until the early 18th century. And yeah, it's the mocha beans, I guess, is the variety.
Okay.
So sounds like it has nothing to do with the P.
Nothing. How did it get named that for ceramic then, I wonder? Maybe it was
I don't know.
discovered there or attributed to there.
That's a good question. It doesn't say in Wikipedia, so we'll probably never know. Just because it doesn't say it on Wikipedia.
Yep. All right. Well, that is us for the day. I think we have finished this radial, so I'll go ahead and move us to the next one between sessions, and we'll get ready to start from that. Well, I'll wait till next time because I have to scan it and everything. So, but yeah. So thanks everyone for joining us. We will be on once again next Friday, assuming another hurricane doesn't hit. And if you're
Knock on wood.
yeah.
Did you hear me knocking on wood?
No, there I can hear that. And if you're interested in other video game content related to archaeology, we are going to be doing Archaeology Arcade next Tuesday at what time do we know, Mike?
I think 1 or something like that.
It'll
12 or
it'll
1.
be announced on our channel, on Twitch channel or our Facebook page. So if you want more information there, you can check that out. We have past episodes up on our YouTube channel, which I linked before. And hope to see you again.
See ya for 301.
Yes.